Good afternoon. Welcome back inside the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center for this, the first of two championship games, the OSBA Women's Final, about to get underway. We're about 2 minutes from tip-off. JJ Evison alongside Sydney Holmes and Aaron Sanders. We appreciate you tuning in on OSBA on YouTube. Crestwood Prep taking on Capital Courts. Crestwood winners of 4 of the last 5 championships, 2 of which followed undefeated seasons. 2019, let's bring you back a few years, a 71-70 victory over Capital Courts Academy at Ryerson University. Aaliyah Edwards and Cheyenne Day Wilson led that squad. Edwards sinking the free throws to seal the game. Last year, 2024, a decisive 94-57 victory led by current ACC Freshman of the Year Toby Fournier and eventual finals MVP and recent South Carolina commit Agat McKeer. Now, Avery Arige has taken a step up this year with McKeer and Fournier moving on, working in tandem with Mary Denise Tambu, trying to make it the first three-peat in OSBA championship history. But Capital Courts have had this date circled on their calendars for about 365 days. 4 of the 5 starters for Fabian Blizzard's squad were on the court plotting their revenge as they watched the Lions celebrate their hard-earned victory. Megan Hollingsworth, the OSBA Women's Eastern Division MVP, and all 5 starters, Jada Denis, Patricia Augustin, Alex Ann Bissett, and Rachel Okoko, headed to the All-Canadian Games a little later this year. A 12-0 record on one side, a 12-0 record on the other side. Cruising into the finals was Capital Courts' absolutely blowout victory, 30 points yesterday over St. Jude's. Meanwhile, against Royal Crown, a 14-point victory, but it felt a little closer than that, didn't it, Aaron?
Oh, it was pretty close, especially in the second half, but Crestwood was able to pull through with the option of kicking out to the extra passes, wise shot choices. They didn't rely on the three that much, so they were able to swing the ball around to pull off that 14-point victory over Royal Crown.
We get our starting lineup set here. For Capital Courts, as I mentioned, Jada Denis, Patricia Augustin, Megan Hollingsworth, Rachel Okoko, and Alex Ann Bissett. We're going to step aside for the national anthem and get you tip-off right after this. We get you set for tip-off here at the OSBA Women's Championship live for the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center. The question must be asked, if there's an edge in this game on the defensive side of the ball, who does that edge belong to, Sydney?
Statistically, it's going to have to belong to Capital Courts. I think they are much more clinical on the defensive end, especially looking at stats specifically. Crestwood is only successful 50% of the time defending an out-of-bounds play from the end, right? From the side, they're slightly more successful, getting a 73% success rate, but it's crucial against a team, specifically Capital Courts, where you have some solid bigs. Even in Hollingsworth, who's not necessarily a big, but she's more of a power forward style play, she's going to be driving in there all day. So I think that inability to guard the out of bounds in play is kind of what's going to hinder Crestwood, but they really need to make sure they lock down on that today.
And the offensive side of the ball, Capital Courts plays really well in transition. Meanwhile, the half-court sets that we've seen Crestwood run all season long under Coach of the Year Marlo Davis have been second to none. What is the key to a great offensive half-court set for Crestwood, and how can they execute that to come away with the three-peat?
Well, number one, they have to box out. I'm relentlessly raving on box outs, JJ, because there's a 3-rebound difference between Crestwood and Capital Courts. 44.8 meeting 41.6. And on top of that, you got to get your bigs involved. I see Marie Grace Tall stepping up for Crestwood today. If they're able to go down low to her, I think it'll be a good game. But they have to have an extra person to kick out to in case things go wrong, because they were good from the mid-range too last night.
Marie Grace Talley, 7 points, 12 rebounds last night in the semifinal. She joins Brooke McLeod, Avery Arige, Tyann Matosis Adderley, and Mary Denise Tambu in the starting five for Crestwood. We've already highlighted the starting five for Capital Courts, but just to review: Alexandre Bissett, Rachel Okoko, Megan Hollingsworth, Patricia Augustin, and Jada Denis. Your officials for this championship game are Tony Turnbull, Ryan Quinlan, and Kwesi Maloney. We just saw CTA Red win the Trillium Championship, and we are underway here in the women's. Augustin in the backcourt. First possession belongs to Capital Courts. Okoko loses the handle. Bissett stolen by Arige.
Mid-range defense as Arige kept on with it.
Again, stepped up really a lot this year in the absence of Agat McKeer, who went down to play at IMG in the States, recently signed to South Carolina. McLeod's got to put the rock to the deck, finds Arige on the far side. 6 seconds on the shot clock, loses the handle. A desperation heave, that misses everything. Here's Denis in the front court. Traipsing down the middle, gives it up. Hollingsworth from 3. That's off the side of the iron. Good box out, but can't corral the loose ball. Denis comes away with it. Patricia Augustin in the paint, off the glass, through 2 Crestwood players. 2
good plays from Rachel Okoko. On the other end, she was the cause for the fast break, and on the other end, she was able to slap it for the offensive rebound.
Matosis Adderley with the response. Baseline cut, good find by Tambu, the first-team All-Star.
And speed's going to play a pivotal role in these first 3 minutes, JJ, and we saw that from Crestwood right down to the paint.
Hollingsworth tries to turn the corner on McLeod. Out of bounds, looking for an official signal. Tony Turnbull says it's going to stay with Capital Courts.
We've already kind of mentioned her name a little bit in this game, but Jada Denis, coming off of the semifinal win against St. Jude, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists.
What a performance.
So she was a stat stuffer, to say the least, but also I wish we kind of had a ticker for how many times she played lockdown defense, because it would be just as full as well.
A triple-double if they kept that stat for sure. Fighting for it on the ground, Stella Evans, who checked in at that time. Arige waits right by the scorer's table for when her number is called again. Change of possession. McLeod on the baseline, full court press here. Capital Courts taking nothing for granted. Every possession is going to matter. Here's the future Villanova commit, playing with former OSBA member Jasmine Bosco. Next season, Tambu gets it down to McLeod, who's going to go to the free throw line.
And Crestwood did a really good job breaking the press sit from Capital Courts off of that play. And again, Capital Courts very, very strong on the defensive end, so they have to be mindful of that as the first free throw goes down for McLeod.
McLeod was one of the winners last year, was on that team, played in the D-League and played in the OSBA Women's League, took a big leap forward this year, played for Team Ontario in the summer, Team Canada as well. Misses the second. Okoko gathers that rebound, gives it up to Denis. Bissett changes paces, moves into the lane, can't get it to go. Rebound, Tale. Evans calling up the play as she crosses the timeline, but not in time. You lose track of the shot clock, and there goes 8 seconds in the blink of an eye.
the mindfulness, the ball awareness, and the time awareness is going to play a huge role into this game as well. Crestwood has to respond back with smarter defense.
Here's Augustin working on the perimeter. Turnover. Quickly now, Matosis Adderley. Picked up by Bissett. Works into the middle. 1-2 stepping. Stella Evans gets by the primary defense. Stripped by Hollingsworth. It's a 2-on-1. Augustin, Denis. Left-handed finish off the backboard through contact.
And that was a close foul on Brooke McLeod. Luckily, she didn't get called for that. But she has to understand she's got to make her presence known right after that pass. She's got to get her body up right in front.
Turning the corner, whip, McLeod back into the middle, losing the handle. Not too sure what Tambu was thinking. She had a lane to the basket and threw it into the corner. Luckily, Crestwood maintained possession, but a little scramble on offense doesn't end up with a great look.
And Brooke McLeod has to slow things down a little bit. She gave up a couple of buckets on the defensive end, and on the offensive end, almost really risk a turnover on the sidelines.
Arige back in as Matosis Adderley and Talay head to the bench alongside Gabby Fajemi Rokun. And we've got our first timeout on the floor, which means it's time to tell you that Ontario Basketball Association and Rogers and Uptown Wireless are bringing you unbeatable deals on wireless plans. As a valued OBA member, you now have access to exclusive savings on Rogers services, helping you stay connected, whether you're at home or on the road or here courtside. Don't miss out. Visit basketball.on.ca today to explore your exclusive offers and experience the power of connection with Rogers. Stay connected, stay in the game, powered by OBA and Rogers. Quick timeout. It's a 1-point lead early on in the contest. What are your first impressions, Sid?
Right now, I think Capital Courts is doing a good job of pushing Crestwood to the outside. Yes, Crestwood has shooters, but as we've seen from them in the past, it does take them a while to kind of get going. It's not usually the first option they kind of go for, but they do need to be mindful of the players that really have that kind of at their disposal. So I think as of right now, they just need to remain tight in the center, continue to do that hard on-ball defense, but in the same breath for Crestwood, though, Capital Courts has solid defense. They are at least averaging 93% success rate in man defense every single time. So their lockdown defense is quintessential.
4 seconds on the shot clock on the inbound. Tambu's got to fire it. And she gets fouled by Denis. A little bit of a lackadaisical defensive play there. Just kind of put her hands out. You got to be aware of the shot clock. Second team foul on Capital Courts. Crestwood still have yet to take their first. Here's Tambu at the line. Denis going to check out. And in comes Sierra Patricio. Yesterday's game, Tambu had 20 points, 3 rebounds. Formerly of Kings Christian. Came over to Crestwood this year to chase a championship and now is 1 win away.
You could do that. We may have a lane violation here, so one more free throw coming up for Tambu.
Which makes him pay. Arige, hand in the passing lanes. Another odd man rush for Capital Courts. Alexandre Bissett can shoot the 3. Been working downhill mostly this weekend here at the Toronto Pan Am Center. Gets the step through, the bounce, and the finish.
And there was nothing that Brooke McLeod could do onto that end. You can put your hand up, but once you're blown by with that spin move, you can't recover.
Arige was wide open. McLeod had her back to the basket. Didn't see her down low. Tambu far side. Picked up by Augustin. Switched on to Okoko. Here's Arige from the corner. Bottom.
And she was very vocal on that wide side as she comes up with the steal.
Taking it right into the body of Augustin. That's last touch off of the forearm of Arige. And Tony Turnbull is going to come over and have a word with Kwesi Maloney. Make sure they get the call right on this one. And Turnbull is going to overturn the call. It will be Crestwood ball. I thought I saw it the same way as Maloney did off the forearm of Arige.
Talking about Arige as well, I mean, 46.3% field goal percentage, but 39.5 3-point percentage. So again, you kind of want it to remain like within the 45% range to remain competitive, but with the shot selection that she is allowing for herself, like she was all alone in the corner. She knew she was going to make it, which is why she was calling for it so aggressively.
Here's Patricio over the timeline. Plays internationally with the Philippines. Hands it off to Bissett. Hollingsworth, straight on, dagger.
And it's all because Georgia Ferguson set up that beautiful screen at the free throw line to allow her to curl and get that shot off.
Georgia Ferguson saw big minutes in yesterday's semifinal, doing things that didn't end up on the stat sheet, but definitely affected the outcome of the game.
If there ever was hustle points in the stats, you got to add that.
Here's Arije turning the corner. The three's up and bottom. Arije's got back-to-back threes on offensive possession. Goes for the steal again. Bissett able to corral it. Augustin settling things down. Picked up by Talley. Hollingsworth wants it. Has one to beat. It's a one-on-one with Evans. Jab step between the legs, backing her down. Wow, what an offensive possession for Megan Hollingsworth.
She saw a lot of space on her right side. That's why she went with that spin move and just put it up with a soft touch. Nice Euro.
Tambu faked the pass to Fejemi Rokun underneath the basket. Went up but couldn't complete the play. Jada Denis back in the game along with Brooke McLeod for Crestwood. They're going to clear out. Ferguson catches it at the top. Looking for some motion down low. Ferguson hands it off to Augustin. Picked up by Talley. It's a one-on-one. Stepping out of bounds, tiptoeing the tight rope. Not well enough. Augustin turns it over.
And now Crestwood's realizing that Capital Courts will always go to that side near the baseline so they get some separation in the shot off, but they applied pressure with that two-man defense.
All knotted at 11, halfway through the opening frame. Here's Tambu turning the corner. Has Evans wide open, feet set. And it's a barrage of threes from the Lions early in the final. Tambu interrupts that inbound pass. No plays off.
Weak side defense fully exposed from Capital Courts. We said this time and time again, you give up that open opportunity, they're going to make you pay.
You have to allow yourself to play hard, tight defense, but still be able to get out in time to contest the three, because that was just too wide open there for Evans.
Jab step, Denis in the lane, stripped from Tambu. Arije, 1-2 stepping, kicks it back out. McLeod can shoot it, she does. And wow, feels like there's a funnel on top of that basket.
She has woken up Crestwood's offense as there's a timeout called. Brooke McLeod started off the defensive top side, and now she's getting rewarded with back-to-back triples.
That's the fourth triple of the game so far for Crestwood. 3 coming at the free throw line as well. Look at that. Arije there for 3, feet set. Beautiful follow through.
Weak side defense being exposed, and now Arije driving. She is confident when she goes up for that shot. A little crossover dribble, the shot, the shimmy, and the last play we just saw right there.
Actually,
Evans.
That was the play before the last. Here's the last. Brooke McLeod.
There we go. A string of threes.
Well, I was going to say, I think something that Crestwood's doing very well is they're actually doing a skip pass, which is interesting that it's been allowed to get through 3 times in a row that we've seen. All Capital Courts realistically has to do is just get your hand in the passing lane. But what Crestwood's doing is whoever has the ball to start with, their first drive is so aggressive that it pulls the help side over, so you can afford to make that skip pass because the defender's just not there. So I think kudos to Crestwood. They're pushing the ball so hard that they're catching Capital Courts out of position, which, like I mentioned, Capital Courts' defense is top tier, right? So you have to get them out of position in order to score a basket. So I think the bread and butter for Crestwood right now is just their fast-paced passes, but Capital Courts just needs to do a better job of just committing to that help side and staying there.
Alexandre Bissett going to start on the bench after that timeout, giving way for Evelyn Tunkara. As well, Juliana Roger checks into the game. Roger and Stella Evans, one of the best 1-2 punches off the bench in the OSBA. Patricio picked up by McLeod. Hollingsworth working on Arije. The jab step, nothing biting there. Kick ball. Nothing wrong with a little kickball, defensive action. Get your team to reset. 14 on the shot clock. 17-11, Crestwood ahead. 3:37 left in the first.
My only fear is I didn't want Talley to get so pinned down. I think if she could fight to kind of get around in Coco, it might bode a bit better for her on defense.
The step back three, no. Talley rebound.
Great positioning from Talley.
Here's Evans over the timeline in a timely manner that time. Arige and Evans playing give and go. Into the corner, Roger looking for somebody, gives it back to Evans. McLeod just drained one from a few feet from there. Wow. Can they miss from three? I don't think so.
She took a minute on the bench, and since she came back before the timeout, she's been on fuego.
Interesting thing is she was jumping, standing in the corner three, waiting patiently. And
now she comes away with a strip. Roger ahead. Evans inside. Talley gets one defender to blow by off the glass and through. The body language for CCA says, how can this be happening? Stuck 11, 2:41 left in the opening frame.
I think it's safe to say that this is the first time this season, opposed from playing Royal Crown, that they've been really contested like this, especially it's showing up on the scoreboard right now too.
Denise stripped by Talley. Another empty possession for Capital Courts. Hollingsworth fighting for a steal herself. Evans able to maneuver around that defense. McLeod has Roger, gives it up, extra pass, Talley. That one finally rattles out for Crestwood. Talley not really a three-point shooter, and Rachel Coco just dribbles it away from herself. Arige working on Denis. Has to pull it back out. Roger wide open. Who's going to defend her? Patricio gets out late. Roger into the paint. Floater, no. Gets her own rebound. Evans putting the moves on into the paint. The step through the floater, no. Talley, another offensive rebound for Crestwood. The shot clock resets. McLeod left alone. Didn't get everything into that one. Maybe the legs getting a little heavy late in the first quarter.
She used a lot of her arms on that one. I just think she wasn't fully set before she shot it.
Tunkara going to go baseline on Evans. Spin around, and Evans going to get called for the foul. Stella Evans being tasked with massive minutes here from head coach Marlo Davis in the first quarter. Fajemi Rokun checks back in alongside Tambu and Matosis Adderley, so 3 in, 3 out. Alex Ambasette also back in as Megan Hollingsworth grabs a breather. Tunkara at the line. The first one rattles away. 6-foot guard, class of 2026, so another year with Fabian Blizzard Tunkara has. The second finds its way through the basket. Lead is up to 12.
There's Arige.
Tambu into the paint. Off glass, no, a little too strong. It's a 5-on-4. Augustin. Tambu makes it back to defense. Ferguson accepts the pass. Denis wants it. Puts the rock to the deck. One dribble. That shot, Talley and Augustin ripping it from each other. Possession arrow favoring Capital Courts. 10-point lead, Crestwood ahead. 49.8 left in the first. Baseline out of bounds, Bissett to trigger. Officials are coming together to make sure that all the clocks are set right. 9 on the shot clock right now. Let's see what the result of a visit to the scores table for Tony Turnbull will be. No change. They keep 9 seconds on the 24. Here's Denis off the inbound. Ferguson going to pull it from just beyond the free throw line. Good decision.
And you have to imagine every time you see quick steal first off.
Here's Tambu into the front court, traipsing down the left-hand side. Looks for the cutter, Talley. Almost loses the handle, dishes it out to Arige. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Arige wants Tunkara one-on-one. Elevates, doesn't get it to go. Tunkara with the rebound. Pushing the pace. Shot clock's turned off. Capital Courts can get whatever offensive look they want. It's Augustin with a three. Nothing but nylon. Patricia Augustin.
And the transition offense working in their favor in the final seconds of the first.
Tambu's got 5 seconds to get it off. Kicks it to the corner. Talley steps in. That one's off the mark, and after 10 minutes played, Crestwood are ahead by 5, 22-17 the score after the first quarter.
This is the first big test for Capital Courts. I mean, obviously, both teams are undefeated, but at least the games that I've seen Capital Courts play, they haven't really been tested, and Crestwood is making them pay offensively, and especially, like I mentioned earlier, doing the skip passes, going to the outside man, and also Crestwood's making them pay not only inside, which we can see here, but also from beyond the arc. Like, they are the quintessential team that you can not allow to get inside. To be fair, they're also making Crestwood pay from beyond the arc too, but they're not capitalizing as many of the in-key chances that Crestwood has been able to capitalize on so far.
And keep in mind, Capital Courts, they have the speed. They're able to go off into the transition and get that catch and shoot because they're that confident. But to your point, Sid, they have to be aware of the extra passes. This is why I mentioned at the top of the telecast, Crestwood's good with assists, 21 of them a game this season. So once you have that extra kick out, it's going to be a problem. So even if they're in a 2-3 zone, they got to spread out more and cover those wings in order to stop Crestwood because they're moving inside and out and upside down. And it's players like Avery Arige and Brooke McLeod stepping out. They could not only go to the basket, but they could shoot it from outside.
We get a good look at Jada Denis there, the 2025 All-Canadian Games selection. Had that double-double in the semifinals, 17 points, 10 assists. Perhaps a triple-double if we counted good defensive possessions, deflections of the like. We don't have that stat available to us. Tambu dials it from deep. No. Augustin above everybody to get that rebound. Hollingsworth back on the court to start the second. Okoko ahead of everybody. She's got an open lane and she finishes.
And she took advantage of the mismatch from Matosas Adderley, who was the only one down to the basket.
A little bit of a zone defense here from Capital Courts. Kind of a hybrid. There's McLeod on the recipient of a nice pass. Augustin, the second defensive rebound in 2 possessions. Bissett, one-touch pass. That is pretty offense. Denise got to finish that play and gets the second chance to do so.
She made up for it. She noticed there was going to be a defender right behind her, but she put it up and in.
Talk about a hot start to the second quarter. Everything you want and more for Fabian Blizzard. Talley fights through contact, and Augustin's going to get called for the foul. Talley to the free throw line.
Augustin was ever so delayed in getting there. I think if she was just a bit quicker, she had her arm at first on the ball against Talley, but as soon as Talley kind of turned her shoulder, it was a reach. So I think next time she just needs to be positioned a little bit lower on that block.
We're all tied. Nope, it's 23-21.
Another thing about Augustin is just the positioning of her hands when she's down low, because when you're fighting for it, instead of going up high and when you go down low, you're going to be called for that foul 9 times out of 10. You're trying to strip it away, but at this point, just put your hands up and contest the shot.
Zuri, you got to take care of the ball at every opportunity. An inbound pass, uncontested, lands out of bounds.
You just got to shake it off, I think, at this point. It's just, I would just vote it as nerves, maybe. If it happens a second time, there's a problem.
Stella Evans off the mark. Another defensive rebound. Augustin ahead to Alexandre Bissett. Right back to Augustin. Mid-range Jimmy. Back of the iron. Hollingsworth with the offensive rebound. Denis calls her own number, misses everything. Crestwood still ahead by 3. As Patricio checks back in. Jada Denis to the bench. Patricio, former BioSteel All-Canadian back in 2022, gold medalist with the 17U Team Ontario team in Newfoundland this past summer. Possession stays with Crestwood. Matosis Adderley to trigger. Quick into Tambu. She's going to wave everybody out. Bissett takes the switch. Fake dribble, bounce pass. Matosis Adderley over Hollingsworth.
And again, I can't boast anymore about Brooke McLeod's ability to set up that screen up top to make that play happen.
Hollingsworth on Arige, one-on-one right in front of her own bench. Arige comes away with the steal. One-on-one the other way. Arige leaning into Hollingsworth. McLeod, now Tambu slowing things down. The poise and patience from a true leader. Arige wants it, spin move, baseline. No one's diving into the paint to get that pass, so it'll be a side out. Arige, look at this.
And here's the problem right here on that play. It looked like Hollingsworth showed and flashed the ball too much near the breadbasket, which caused that quick steal.
Ferguson back into the game. Evans and Ferguson. She got Ferguson beat, and again, Brooke McLeod rolls off that screen wide open.
A great PAR to make it a 7-point game.
PAR, say that 10 times fast. No, don't.
I'm going to need water for that one, folks.
28-21, Crestwood up. Bissett over the top. She sealed off Evans to perfection, didn't get it to go. That rattled around a couple of times before landing out. Arige gets it over the timeline before the 8-second violation. Tambu flashing. Here's Matosis Adderley. That rattles in and out. Bissett boxes out Arige, comes away with the rebound. It's Augustin. Somebody's got to pick her up. Extra pass to the corner. A little long. Ferguson and Matosis Adderley knocks it out of bounds. Good job by Patricio to have patience to get that defender to blow by.
But now Capital Courts has to realize when Crestwood's in that zone defense, they're forcing him to take those shots. But you got to get a quick dribble drive right on the baseline and get close to the basket as possible. When you're being forced to shoot those threes, it's going to bring down your confidence.
Augustin from the parking lot. Misses wide left. Tunkara offensive rebound. No. McLeod fighting for it against two Capital Courts players. Jump ball. It'll stay with Capital Courts. Baseline out of bounds. Bissett to trigger. Everybody's in motion. Augustin gets it. Works baseline. Spins back. Ferguson. Back to Augustin. Matosis Adderley there the whole way. Augustin gets the better of that matchup.
She was able to knock one of the defenders down to get enough space to put that up and in. That's a beautiful spin move.
Evans around the screen. Matosis Adderley into the paint. Tale back into the paint. Roger wide open. Easy rebound there for Bissett. No one else is coming in. Here's Patricio. Working to the strong side. Tunkara. Patricio takes the handoff from Ferguson. Into the lane. Elevates. That's no good. Ferguson fighting for the rebound. Tale ties her up. And now Crestwood will get possession.
I was going to say Tale got lucky on that one because at this last second, I thought she had her arm, but I think when she got that ball, she just was locked. And that's also a good thing with Crestwood, too, is they always are good about timing if and when they're going to go for that ball, too. So.
And Brooke McLeod almost helped her out on the play.
Here's McLeod in through contact. Off the glass, no. Tale rebound, kicking out. Matosis Adderley downhill. She'll go to the line for a look at two as Denis gets called for another foul. Capital Courts. 3 fouls now in the second quarter, 2-0 from Crestwood. So talk about playing disciplined, keeping your hands out of the cookie jar, not sending your opponent to the free throw line for an easy look. 5-point lead, Crestwood ahead. Matosis Adderley was an honorable mention at the St. James She Got Game Classic in December of last year. She rattles that one through. Stolen. McLeod finishes.
And this is the second time we saw Capital Court falter on an inbound pass like that.
Bounce pass Ferguson. Tale there to disrupt that.
You got to finish your food.
Out of it. No double dribble. Play on. Roger in front of her own bench. Here's McLeod. Late to the play. Evans for three. Off the iron. Last touch by Capital Courts. Crestwood retained possession on the baseline out. Arige back in. Augustin and Bissett as well. As we get another look at that steal on the inbound play.
And look at that. Well on the play was Matosis Adderley off the steal. They realize once they're on a run, you might as well start that full court pressure. Bring the pressure up and force them to make mistakes. 8 on the shot clock.
Arige wants a screen from Tale. Tale dives. Double coverage. Fouled and back to the line goes Crestwood.
And it looks like Tale went with the fake screen, so she went with the fake and flare to create enough space to go down to the hole.
Capital Court's help defense got there in time when she rolled to the basket, but just couldn't stay disciplined enough to not reach in instead of staying up tall and walling up.
And that caused the crowd right in the mid-range.
We're getting into a position where Capital Courts, I mean, I know they've already had to kind of sub out their top player in Jada Denis in terms of points and defensive ability, but they're going to need her down the stretch. So if they're subbing her out now due to foul trouble, it's not going to go well for them in the second half.
Good offensive look here for CCA. Looking more like themselves here in the second quarter. Tough take. Augustin ends up on the ground. Tries to float that one in with the left. She'll go to the line for a look at 2.
And I don't mind that at all. Capital Court needed to go inside more than just forcing a 3 because of Crestwood's great defense. When you're spaced out, you could either jab left and go right or vice versa. And Augustin did just that as she gets the first of 2 free throws.
A silver medalist at the U18 FIBA Women's America Cup last summer. Makes good on them both. The anchor of this Capital Courts defense, getting her teammates together on the same page. Tambu, baseline cut. Roger couldn't put it up. Evans does from 3. No. Hollingsworth has that fall right into her lap. Bissett has a clear path. 1-2 stepping, fouled. She's going to go to the line for a look at 2.
In comparison to last game, I mean, it's not like Hollingsworth right now is kind of not doing anything. 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 steal. But comparing it to the semifinal game that we just saw her play, 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. So I think we're used to seeing her become a bit more of an active playmaker, an active point getter. But the problem that I think we're having now, too, is where Capital Courts is used to playing so aggressive, they're now playing a bit more lax because they don't want to get into foul trouble.
Bissett, also a silver medalist at the U18 FIBA Women's America Cup. And that rattles in and out. Tale just dives to save that one. Goes off her shoulder. Capital Courts have another look at the offensive side of the ball. 4:01 left in the opening half. 32-26, Crestwood ahead. Thanks to a big first quarter and shooting from 3. Augustin back to Patricio. Steps in. Finds Bissett. Bissett gets Roger in the air. Patricio with 3 seconds on the shot clock. Bissett's got to throw it up. Does. A little too strong. And that's a shot clock violation. Tambu over the timeline, picked up by Bissett. Here comes the McLeod screen. Hands in the passing lanes for Hollingsworth. They're going to reset at the top, Crestwood are. Again, that screen's there. That time the shot fake gets Hollingsworth in the air, and Stella Evans makes them pay.
Splish, splash, cash. Again, the ball movement around the perimeter becoming deadly.
A lot of motion off the ball here for Capitol Courts. Good defense by Crestwood. Spinning into the lane. Patricio tries to go off the glass. Matosis Adderley pulls it down. Tambu out and on the run. Into the paint, poking, prodding. Here's Arige. Between the legs. Tries to find a lane, no. Tambu. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Good defense from Augustin. Had the dribble back. Tony Turnbull says no, it wasn't knocked loose. Double dribble. Turnover. As Arige helps Tambu up off the floor after hitting it pretty hard.
It was a good defensive effort there from Capitol Courts. I'm just now hoping that it can be translated to offensive points, because when you work so hard on defense and then you go down and you either miss free throws or you aren't able to execute on a play, it's very frustrating.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda in those situations.
CCA stuck 9. Okoko doesn't get it to go. Tambu swallows up the rebounds. Tambu turns the corner. Baseline cut from McLeod. Read well by Augustin, who deflects that out of bounds. And Tambu's been the engine so far for this Crestwood squad on the offensive side of the ball. You can see her here, almost needing to keel over and catch her breath, just huffing for fresh oxygen as McLeod makes a move down baseline. Good ball movement on the perimeter. Good hands in the passing lanes again. Stripped. Arige has a lane, one to beat, and Bissett just lets her go to the hoop.
And Arige making them pay and making up for the mistake from Crestwood off of that help side defense.
Here's Hollingsworth, the MVP. Taking it in, loses the handle, turns around, tries to go glass, no. Up through contact, count the bucket and the foul. When you need a bucket, you call Megan Hollingsworth.
And it's about time they were able to finish their food down underneath the basket, because we've seen in the last 3 or 4 possessions, Sid, that they would go down low and they would either take too much time, overestimate on their shot, and they would hit the rim twice instead of either guiding it off the glass or just go for the soft touch. So they have to be more involved in the interior of the offensive end with the one free throw coming up from Hollingsworth.
Hollingsworth misses on the free throw, headed to the University of Pittsburgh next year. She's going to be a Panther. Not too far from the border here in Niagara, or I guess not here in Niagara, but in Niagara. Not too far from here. Here's Evans working on Hollingsworth. McLeod sets the screen. Okoko pushes Evans to the timeline. In the corner, Matosis Adderley, baseline swatted from behind by Sierra Patricio.
That is how you get beat on defense but still remain active in the play, right? Like, she knew Hollingsworth was there, so she didn't need to reach in and foul. She's like, I'm going to time it perfectly so I can block that shot. And that was a good attempt from her.
Tunkara checks back in for what you can expect to be the remaining 125 of her playing time in the opening half. 13 seconds on the shot clock. Baseline out of bounds. Tambu to trigger.
Well, they shaved 0.6 off, so 1.3 they go on the shot clock. Catch and shoot.
It's Brooke McLeod who misses. Augustin boxes out Evans ahead. It's Tunkara into the front court. Working on Matosis Adderley. Gets it to go.
And we're seeing more of that energy they put on the defensive end on the offensive side, too. If Capitol Courts could get a fast break game going, they could cut this to as few as 1 bucket as we approach the final minute of the half.
Here's Tambu, downhill, gets the lane, can't get the finish. Patricio pushing the pace. Bissett now on the near side. Far side, Tunkara. Doesn't accept it cleanly, but still maintains possession. Patricio wants the screen. It's there from Okoko. Where's the roll? Augustin has Tambu one-on-one. Okoko working on McLeod. The one-footed jumper, wow. Did you know she had that in her bag?
Not at all. But when it's finals time, you're going to have a lot of magic in your arsenal, and she did a terrific job. A lot of mid-range jumpers in the final few moments.
Okoko tasked with guarding Tambu now. Tambu thought about the step back, does dial it from deep back iron. Okoko going to track that one down. Tambu fighting for it as well, knocks it out of bounds.
That was a very stagnant offensive, I don't even want to say an offensive rotation, but an offensive position, I guess, for Crestwood. But
Our first timeout of the second quarter. Going to talk things over to see how to play out the remaining seconds here before the halftime break. It's time to let you know that Ontario Basketball Association and Rogers and Uptown Wireless are bringing you unbelievable deals, not unbeatable deals, both of them, on wireless plans. As a valued OBA member, you now have access to exclusive savings on Rogers services, helping you stay connected whether you're at home, on the road, or courtside. Don't miss out. Visit basketball.on.ca today to explore your exclusive offers and experience the power of connection with Rogers. Stay connected, stay in the game, powered by OBA and Rogers. 15.4 left on the clock in the opening half. 37-32. Crestwood with the first punch in the mouth, but Capital Courts, they're able to stay in it and get some positive momentum prior to this half.
And they're settling more on mid-range jumpers and cutting inside, which I've been a good proponent of for so many of these games. Coach Blizzard doing an exceptional job making sure they go inside. They're not forcing more threes than they had based on the last 3 minutes of action, JJ. So they have to focus on that. Now that they have the ball with 15 and 10 seconds to go, I would like to see a lot of speed, 2 passes down, and somebody cut down low to give them that punch in the mouth and reduce this to a 1-possession game.
Patricio accepts the inbound pass. Over the timeline, gets double teamed. Picks it up. 7 seconds left. Bissett. Tunkara in the corner. They're looking for Okoko. Tunkara just takes it from the mid-range. No. And that's how the first half comes to an end. A barrage of threes in the first quarter get Crestwood up 37-32. A little bit of a comeback in the second quarter from Capital Courts. And it's halftime here at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center as we look at a few highlights from the first half.
And this is how Capital Courts was able to get back into the ball game. They were not scared to go in the interior and clean passes. They're letting their bigs take care of business. Nice bucket from Augustin. Crestwood doing all they can to get back in this game. Nice passing right there, Seth.
I also think, too, that CCA needs to do a better job of closing out a lot of the time and also protecting the ball. Like, a lot of the times, Crestwood's getting the second chance opportunities either because CCA is just so focused on pushing the problem and pushing the ball when they don't have to. As we've just seen, Hollingsworth is crucial down low. They have a lot of players that can make a problem for you inside the paint. So they need to focus on that, take care of the ball, take care of it when you have possession, and allow yourself to succeed.
When we come back, more action from the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center. It's the OSBA Women's Championship game. Stick with us. A minimum of 20 more minutes left to be played here at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center. The hardware has been polished. You got the medals, you got the trophy, you got the rings, and the MVP award to be handed out at the conclusion of this game, the OSBA Women's Championship. JJ Evison back here alongside Sydney Holmes and Aaron Sanders for what's bound to be a great second half. Crestwood ahead 37-32 after the first 20 minutes. What are the takeaways from the first half, Aaron?
Well, Capitol Courts, they did a good job in the final few minutes, pushing right down to the interior and cashing it down low. They had 18 points in the paint compared to Crestwood's 12 at the end of the day. And Crestwood, we've seen them flustered a little bit in the final few minutes because of the way CCA has been dominating.
You talk about defense to offense. Avery Arige for Crestwood, 5 of her team's total 10 steals. How has that been able to get the engine going for them on the positive offensive side of the ball?
She's also the first player everywhere on the floor, which allows me to think that she's naturally working a little bit harder than the rest of her teammates, which instinctually brings up the level of everybody else that she's playing with. So the fact that she's able to go down on one end, make a three, go back on the other end, grab a steal, go back again, she is constantly everywhere, and she definitely brings up the level of this Crestwood team for sure.
Second half underway. Hollingsworth works under the baseline, doesn't get it to go. Contested well by McLeod, and the first foul of the third quarter comes 10 seconds in, called by Kwesi Maloney. That's going to go for the push in the back on Rachel Okoko. Here's Arige. Traipsing down the left-hand side. Hollingsworth picks her up. Tambu now at the logo. Arige wants it back. Switched on. Capitol Courts slagging off of McLeod. She can drain it from three. She kicks it to the corner. Turnover. That hit out of bounds. The bottom of the basket off of Okoko. Crestwood baseline. Inbound, 5 seconds on the shot clock.
A crying shame because Okoko did a great job of closing out of the baseline.
I also think Arige got very close to a 3-second call there on the key. I think her saving grace was that there was an out-of-bounds called.
Arige at the expiration of the shot clock. That hits the rim, resets to 14. Change of possession. Denis out and on the run. Here's Augustin into the paint. Euro step, finishes with the right.
The ice cream scoop with the sprinkles. That's just a nice move to keep the ball moving as they go in for two. Patricia Augustin, nice one.
11 points for Augustin so far in this contest, followed by 5 rebounds as well.
Mary Denise Tambu working topside. Patient as ever. Behind the back. Spin move. Augustin gets a hand on it. Okoko with the loose ball. Here's Augustin ahead of the pack. Met at the top. Hard foul from Tambu. That's the kind of championship kind of effort you need, right? You're not going to let her get that and get even closer to eating into your lead. You've got to contest everything, especially against Capitol Court's best player.
You got to take that foul, too. Even though you have to go right from behind, you have to make sure you're on the case all the time. So CCA, we've seen in the last, let's say, 10 minutes from the second and third quarter, they're really picking up on speed, and they're getting some crisp passes down to the first free throw. Goes down for Augustin.
Fabian Blizzard gets into our bench quickly here in the third quarter, bringing in Ferguson and Patricio, as Augustin makes good on the second as well. Evans into the game for Marlo Davis's squad over the timeline. Here's Talley, picked up by Ferguson. Looking for some movement on the back end, decides to go right with it. Good switch on defense from Capitol Courts. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Matosas Adderley with a nice step through. Leaves that one just off to the left. Augustin going to corral the loose ball. Here's Bissett on the right side. Nifty pass back to Augustin. Gives it right back. What about a give and go? Couldn't complete the play. Talley fighting for it. Play on, says the baseline official. It's Evans, picked up by Hollingsworth. Arige into the front court. Talley thought about it. Puts the rock to the deck, steps through Ferguson. Left hand overcooked. Bissett gets that rebound. Head up. Hollingsworth accepts the pass. In stride.
First time in a while that Capitol Courts is actually slowing down the play, give themselves time to set something up.
They want Augustin on Arige. Now it's Bissett. 3 seconds. One dribble, steps to the right. That misses everything. Shot clock violation. And you're right, Sid. What were they settling for there?
I think the problem is their coach called a play, but they were walking to every single spot. That's easy to defend. If you call a play, run. You better make sure that that's the fastest you're ever going to move in this game, is cutting to each single position, because the fact that they had the open floor and they resulted in just having a wide, empty three, like, that's not what you should settle for.
But Jamie Rokun set to check in. We've got a timeout on the floor. The first timeout here of this third quarter. Things slowly getting underway. 7 and change left in the third quarter. Ontario Basketball Association and Rogers and Uptown Wireless are bringing you an unbeatable deal on wireless plans. As a valued OBA member, you now have access to exclusive savings on Rogers services, helping you stay connected whether you're at home, on the road, or courtside. Don't miss out. Visit basketball.on.ca today to explore your exclusive offers and experience the power of connection with Rogers. Stay connected, stay in the game, powered by Rogers and OBA. Crestwood talking things over, only in the lead by 1 now, and we knew this game was going to be back and forth. We knew if there was a lead by any side, the other side would be able to eat back into that. When you look at the halftime messages, I think what you might have heard from Fabian Blizzard is slow things down. Get back to playing CCA brand basketball, smart, high intellect basketball. Find the open player, take advantage of the mismatch. And Marlo Davis was stressing to his team, if they get a good stop, don't waste the offensive possession.
It's all about execution between these two teams. CCA has shown time and time again they're great on the half court, but Crestwood Prep, they're having a little bit of difficulty trying to shut down CCA, and we saw that in the last few minutes. With Crestwood with the ball, they may have to slow it down a little bit too.
Evans and Patricio fighting for it. It's a 5-on-4. Patricio stuck in the front court. Whip pass from Tosis Adderley. 4 on the shot clock. Works baseline. Kicked Arige. Steps in. Then back out. Shot is up. Back iron. Here's Denis. Denis waits for a teammate. Turns the corner. Nice patience. Doesn't get that to rattle through. Arige fighting for the rebound. Jump ball called. Possession arrow favoring Crestwood. There's not much about Arige's game that you can criticize.
No, I think even if, let's just say, she does have like a misstep on either offense or defense, she always makes sure that she runs back to kind of get it on the opposite side. So even if she makes a mistake, she's always good at correcting herself on the next play down.
And those mistakes aren't costly either.
Feels like that's a maturity thing, right? She's playing years above her actual age. Augustin lets Talay blow by, and now Talay's late getting back into play. Here's Ferguson. Kicked out. Bissett working back into the paint. Left-handed scoop score around Arige is good. Count the basket. Capital Courts ahead by 1.
It's their first lead in a long time.
Brooke McLeod with the response on the dive.
And she's been very responsive, too, off of those mistakes or after one basket on the other end, too. After taking 2 minutes onto the bench in the first quarter, she has exploded like a rocket on the floor.
Sierra Patricio putting McLeod to work. Now it's Augustin putting Arige to work. Augustin goes up through contact. She'll go to the line for a look at 2. Sank both of them the last time she was at the charity stripe. Arige going to get called for the foul.
I think Augustin was honestly bailed out. I mean, it was a good take, to be quite honest. She was bailed out on that foul because at one point there was 4 Crestwood players guarding her in the key, which meant that there's at least 3 others that were open on the outside. So she did have the opportunity to kind of kick it out, but she got bailed out on that one, and now she's headed to the line for 2.
Tickles the twine on the first. The second rattles away. McLeod can't handle the rebound. And CCA have another chance at an offensive bucket.
Trisha Augustin leading CCA now with 14 points along with 6 boards. She could be the catalyst for this comeback.
Here's Augustin working on Matosis Adderley. 1-2 stepping, can't get it to go. Gets their own rebound, puts it up without looking. Circus shot for Augustin. Inbound pass stolen by Augustin. Here's Patricio, the floater. No McLeod rips the rebound down, tied up, jump ball. It'll stay with Capital Courts.
Smart move from Bissett to go for that little tangle up, knowing that the possession arrow was in their favor.
Marlo Davis given a warning on the far side by Tony Turnbull for stepping onto the court. 14 on the shot clock, baseline. Here's Patricio, picked up by Tambu. Patricio uses her body, back and Tambu down, steps through, Tambu there the whole way. Forced Patricio into a tough shot, but then swatted the ball, got the arm, and you got to be more disciplined than that.
Well, you talked about this yesterday, Sid, with all the semifinals. One more look at that play. You want to go for the block, but you don't have to add a little bit of, I guess, emphasis on it. It's all about the hands. Just go straight up with it to contest the shot. That's all you need to do.
What I'll say, too, for Patricio and what she did, which was smart, is when you turn more than once, the third time, instinctually, the defender's going to be like, okay, I'm going to go this time. I'm going to go this time. So you're naturally getting them off balance. So that was a good move for Patricio to kind of allow herself to just get open and get to the line for the extra points.
Capital Court's biggest lead of the game, up 4 here. 5:16 left in the third quarter. Good defense from Megan Hollingsworth.
And we heard Brooke McLeod let everyone know she was wide open as she was curling right down to the basket on the right elbow.
Tambu accepts the inbound pass. Quick move baseline. That is a great offensive possession for Mary Denise Tambu.
And that's how you respond back. She went with her offhand to the crossover dribble, which gave her a lot of position. They go in for the easy layup.
Augustin's been hot here in the third. The jump step through, doesn't get it to go. Tambu with the rebound, gonna slow it down now. Knows how to read the game, when to push, when to slow it down. Evans, far side. Patricio closes out, bites on the pump fake, but there on the backside is Tunkara. Here's Tambu for 3. No. That's out of bounds, last touched by Capital Courts. Crestwood have it on the side. Jadadidi back into the game. Arige can't get by Bissett on the first try. Goes again to the left. Mid-range jumper is pure.
10 points for Arige right now.
Tough balancing act for her. Good for her.
Patricio kicks it out. Bissett gonna pull it and drill it. I feel like I could watch these two teams go at it all day long.
The nice thing is they're so evenly matched that the only time that one is able to score on the other is due to mistakes, and we just saw one right there, right? Like an unforced error. Now CCA is going to head the other way. They're going to have time for a possession. Time was wasted off the clock. They have a 3-point lead. It's going to be those errors that's going to come down to who's going to win this game today.
And you don't need those cross-court passes all the time.
Hollingsworth with a quick breather comes back into the game. Hits Patricio working on Arige. Tambu goes for the strip. Bissett gets a lane around McLeod. Doesn't get the bounce. Tunkara over top of Tambu and throws it back down.
Second chance opportunities not working for Crestwood, but on the other end, CCA stepping up. Quick steal.
Hollingsworth gets the basket. Patricio with the deflection.
How about the great power from Patricio just to hold herself after almost going off balance? She was able to stick with it and put it off the glass.
Stella Evans poking, prodding. Patricio, another deflection, keeps it alive. Did they already hand out the Defensive Player of the Year award? Because my vote is for Sierra Patricio. Floater from the mid-range, no. Arige swallows up the rebound. They, in fact, did hand out the Defensive Player of the Year award. It was Brooke McLeod.
Good on Hollingsworth there to kind of just step in the passing lane. Allow her team a breather also, because that was a lot of back-and-forth play.
Bissett to the bench. Augustin checks back in. We've got Tale and Roger checking in. Matosis Adderley and Arige going to catch a breather. Baseline out of bounds, Crestwood. Tale to trigger. Roger Pushed out towards the timeline. Tambu now. Hollingsworth, the primary defender, gets beat. Talley for three. Bottom. It's a 4-point lead. Capitol Court's in front. Crestwood having to play from behind for the first time in the game here in the third quarter. Hollingsworth, spin move into the lane, fouled by Roger, count the bucket.
She went rockabye on that cradle spin, and that's just great positioning. Let's look at it again. First you have the spin move, she cradled it, and just went it on the right side to finish it, and she lets everybody know CCA is in the house.
You need to remember, though, how big her secondary step was off of that spin move, which allowed her to really punch the gap. Beautiful execution there. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make the extra point.
And McLeod couldn't leave her defender either, or her opponent either, because that's a wide open three on a clinical shooter.
Exactly.
Roger with the handoff. Picked up at the top by Augustin. Evans fakes the three, steps in. Nice dump pass to McLeod, who blows it. Gets her own rebound, fighting for it on the ground. Hollingsworth comes away with it. Jada Denis now, traipsing down the left-hand side, working on Evans. Spinning into the lane. Ooh, twisted her ankle, and she's down on the ground. Play goes on. Denis gets up, hobbles back. Shot is up from Roger. That's no good. Augustin, there's an over-the-back foul on Talley, and Jada Denis is on her knees near the bench.
I didn't think she was going to get up after that, but I mean, at least good on her, I guess, for at least getting over to the half. She's going to get helped off to the bench now.
To a round of applause from everybody here in attendance at the Toronto Pan Am Center. They recognize how special she is as a player and how hard she's going to be to replace for Fabian Blizzard's squad.
And she's been part of Fabian Blizzard's system for a couple of years now, part of the under-17 Canadian squad last year that ended up placing silver against the United States by a few points last year. So
you were on that call?
Yes, I was.
What do you remember from that game? I remember you told me you said you thought Canada was going to get absolutely blown out.
Yes, but man, did they ever come out of the race and gave USA their biggest challenge, because back then USA, they won by a margin of 30 or 40 points around there. But when you have that first free throw goes down, but when you have players like Jada Denis, Savvy Swords, and Rachel Okoko too, it makes a huge difference. You got depth and you got great playmakers.
So Augustin at the free throw line now. Crestwood put in the bonus. Meanwhile, Capitol Court's just one foul in the quarter, a minute 29 remaining. Evans brings the ball past the timeline. Talley accepts the handoff, now Arige. Good motion off the ball. 7 seconds on the shot clock. McLeod going to make a move to the paint, try and get by Hollingsworth. Instead, it's a turnover.
McLeod's having a hard time on the offensive end in the second half.
Augustin puts the rock to the deck, works on the smaller Evans, kicks out Bissett. That's no good. Tunkara fighting for the rebound. It's still alive. She gets it. Loose ball on the floor. Don't have a good angle. Waiting for the call. And Megan Hollingsworth called for the foul. That's an okay foul, I think, in that situation.
It's a 50-50 ball, Sid.
I was going to say, in those points, too, it's hard when you have players on the floor and you're just, like, diving to wherever it is. At that point, it's just, like, kind of let it be. But as a basketball player, I would never listen to that. I would be diving on the floor with the ball, too.
Here's Tambu into the front court after a scare in the backcourt from Arige. Arige wants it. Picked up by Patricio, calls up Talley. Can she get the switch she wants? She gets by her primary defender, pulls up from the mid-range, back iron. Tipped to Patricio by Augustin. Now Augustin going to settle it down. There's a slight difference between the game clock and the shot clock as Evelyn Tunkara jab steps to the baseline. Augustin bails her out. Baseline jumper, too short. Arige with the rebound. Here's Evans. Plenty of time left. Left alone from the distance. That's not going to go. Hollingsworth fighting for the rebound. That's out of bounds. Waiting for the call from the official.
And he's going to say it's an out of bounds.
Yeah, but looks like they're keeping it with Crestwood. Not too sure who that went off of.
Either that or he's calling it a jump if it was indecisive. But
0.7 on the shot clock, so it's just enough time for a catch and shoot. That's all you have. McLeod catches, shoots, and that's off the mark. The third quarter comes to an end, and Capital Courts have worked themselves in to a 54-46 lead. 10 more minutes at a minimum on the clock here in this OSBA Women's Championship game. 2 undefeated going at it. That's exactly what we're seeing on the court.
And first off, CCA doing a good job rushing to the other end of the floor. Tough and ones, tough takes to the basket. And on the other side of things, you have to wonder if Crestwood will pick up the defensive assignments and lock in.
I think they need to, because right now we have Arige and Augustin kind of leading their respective teams. Both Demons on the inside, but I think now what we're seeing too, and the reason we're seeing a slight lead for CCA is because there's those secondary players stepping up into position where they're allowing themselves to score. Now we have Tunkara. Bissett was another player to mention as well. Hollingsworth was kind of always someone that has been remaining consistent, but that's the reason why we're seeing a bit of a discrepancy in the score. It was a lot closer at the beginning of the third. Now it's 54-46 in favor of CCA. So Crestwood really needs to find that secondary player to kind of step up.
And JJ, keep close attention to Jada Denis. She's up and she's tightening her shoe. She was able to get back to the bench after she was tended to at the bench, so she may be back into this game. We'll see.
Big minutes for Stella Evans for Marlo Davis's squad. Got tapped on the shoulder early in the game and has actually played quite well. Usually coming off the bench in that 1-2 tandem punch with Juliana Roger, but no, moving into more starting rotation minutes here in the championship game of all games. 10 more minutes on the clock, fourth quarter action here from the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center. We appreciate you tuning in to OSBA TV on YouTube. And here is Jada Denis, showing no signs of injury. Picking up Tambu right away.
Master lock defense.
A lot of switchability on the outside for Fabian Blizzard's squad. Tambu dances with it, gives it up. There's an extra pass option. McLeod keeps and doesn't get the roll. Augustin rips that away. Here's Denis on the far side. She does seem to be moving a little bit gingerly, but the true competitive spirit is going to keep her on the court.
That's that adrenaline in you.
Gives it up to Augustin. Hollingsworth from the corner. That's no good. No black jerseys going in to swallow up the rebound, so McLeod takes that happily. Picked up the dribble. Arige looking for McLeod down low.
1-4 zone.
Talay working on Denis. Overcomes Augustin to thwart that. Avery Arige walks into a three and rips the cords.
And here's the thing, you really got to put a body on Arige, because even if she doesn't have a good shot, she's going to move and dribble away before she's planning herself for a shot.
Augustin working on McLeod. The handoff to Denis. Dials it from deep. Back iron. Hollingsworth with the rebound. Denis on the dive. Takes it into traffic. Augustin loose ball and the putback.
My goodness. Did we just see Jada Denis rushing after that opportunity? It doesn't look like she's hurt at all. She's doing a good job.
On the game today, 12, no, that's a complete understatement. 12 Augustin, 20 points, 6 rebounds at one point. The one she just converted now makes it 7. She is the player that's been stepping up in the absence of Denis on the scoreboard.
11 points, 8 boards, 7 assists in yesterday's semi for Patricia Augustin. And Patricio checks in, giving Hollingsworth a breather. Bissett working on Arige, goes baseline, elevates, blocked from behind by Arige. It's a 5-on-4 for Crestwood. Into the front court, Arige puts the moves on, finds the open shooter. It's Evans from 3, back iron. Okoko swallows that up. Here's Patricio. Patricio puts the moves on Evans. Evans stays with her. Denis, top side. Augustin, no hesitation. Tapped out of bounds by Okoko over the back of Talay.
I don't know if that was a good decision, Sid. We saw Bissett wide open once again to the near side, asking for the ball as she was moving up and down.
There's also no one above 40% from beyond the arc for CCA. So I think, again, if you're open, take it. If not, take your time and look for, like you said, Aaron, the inside pass.
CCA ahead by 7. 7:45 left in the fourth quarter. It's Evans over the timeline for Crestwood. Arige fighting with Hollingsworth for position. Hollingsworth thwarts that entry pass for Arige and sticks with her. Tambu wants to clear out, gets the lane, working through the chicken wing around Denis, not called. Denis going to get that out and on the run. Being hunted by Tambu. Rachel Coco, one dribble. Turn around, no. Arige with the rebound. Good defense by Matosis Adderley.
And they did that because Tale was right behind the play and they stood their ground.
Patricio giving Arige a little bit more trouble on the outside. Tale turns around into the paint, kicks it out. Matosis Adderley going to drive again. Tries the Euro step around Hollingsworth, and that's a jump ball called. Turnover, Capital Courts ball.
The problem that I have with that play is that when you fall down to the ground, Matosis Adderley, it's either going to be a travel or you were pushed and it's a foul. It's one of the two. It can't be nothing.
My question is, why turn down a wide open look from three?
I think she second-guessed herself a little bit too much.
When your defender is down, you got to take advantage of that opportunity.
Hollingsworth right back into the game. Here's Augustin, top side. Makes her move to the left. Hollingsworth steps back from the corner, overcooks it. Augustin with the offensive rebound. Nobody boxes her out. An easy 2 points, adding to Capital Courts' lead. Tambu downhill to the corner. Extra pass, top side. Arige steps in. Mid-range is good.
Smart move for Arige to take 1 or 2 dribbles inside.
The thing is, if you bite on Arige's first move, she's got a second. And if you fall for that, she's got a third.
Again, a lot in the arsenal.
Patricio dumps it down to Hollingsworth, who's working on Evans. Evans does a great job on Hollingsworth in this game. Hollingsworth gets a second chance opportunity and makes Evans pay.
And Stella Evans, she had her back towards her, even though she tried to box out, but I think she missed the assignment.
Tambu goes downhill. Augustin tried to sell the foul. Tambu stays on the ground. So Augustin just dumps it off to Ferguson. Tale tries to take the charge. No call there. And now after the play runs out, Tambu, it will be tended to. There is going to be a timeout on the court. We'll step aside while Tambu gets looked at and be back with more fourth quarter action. You're watching the Women's Championship on OSBA TV on YouTube. Stick with us. Marie-Denise Tambu helped to the trainer's table. Couldn't get there under her own power, has a knee injury, and we'll keep you up to date as much as we can with what's going on there. As we turn our attention back to this final, 62-51, Capital Courts ahead. Crestwood have possession. Stella Evans over the timeline, working on Patricio, gets switched on to Bissett. Arige takes it, picked up by Hollingsworth. Arige, couple of dribbles, and it's go time for Avery Arige. The long two.
That is a pro move to drill it right in between the eyes with no...
Bissett from 3. I think at this point, the CCA just needs to make sure they can maintain their composure, because again, it's almost instinctual. Every single time they get a good player, a good shot, Coach Blizzard's like this: calm, keep calm, maintain your composure. So she doesn't want them to get too animated so they can just keep mentally in the game.
Under 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. McLeod looks over top to Arige. The double comes. Bissett knocks it out of bounds. When that double came, Arige had no idea it was coming from behind. Teammates got to be vocal in that instance.
Well, I hope in this possession either Arige or McLeod could get a bucket in there. McLeod has so many good looks, but they haven't gone to her in the last little while.
It's Arige. Walks into a 3. The confidence in young Avery Arige is absolutely undeniable. Patricio on the top side, gives it up to Denis, working on that bad ankle. Arige up to the assignment. Ferguson on the dive, but Talley snatches that out of midair.
We haven't seen a lot of high-low passes connect for both of these teams lately. Arige.
Here's Evans, accepts that pass, stepping to the elbow. Matosis Adderley downhill, into the corner. It's Arige. Denis with a hand there. Arige is given too much time and space. She's going to pull that every time. Doesn't get the roll. McLeod with the offensive rebound. Oh, it's knocked out of bounds by Bissett off of McLeod.
That is tough, but still a smart move by Bissett. You only got one step before you go out of bounds, and she just took advantage of it by getting it off of McLeod.
Easy press break here for Capital Courts. It's a 2-on-1. Denis pulls up from inside the three-point line. Augustin with a rebound, no. McLeod traipsing into the front court now. It's a 12-point lead for Capital Courts from Ottawa. Arige, time to go to work. Turns the corner, step back, gives it up. McLeod gonna move into the paint, take the contact, and go to the free throw line. Brooke McLeod gonna stop the clock with a chance to look at 2.
It was interesting how Augustin was shocked by the fact that there was a foul call, but she dropped her hands. You can't do that.
McLeod rips the cord on the first one. She's going to be playing with Kia Nurse Elite, the U17 Nike EYBL team this summer. That was announced not too long ago. The second sees its way through as well. 3.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Foul, Matosis Adderley. Crestwood's first.
.329 to go. A little bit of full court pressure applied. Crestwood doing a good job, but it's broken up.
Augustin looking for some movement. Hands it off to Hollingsworth, working to the middle. Trying to get by Matosis Adderley late in the shot clock. The scoop score, no. Talley with the rebound. Arige, obviously the recipient of the outlet pass, moving into the front court. 3 minutes left. 10-point game. Crestwood on the hunt. It's Arige. Slipping, sliding, trying to get by Ferguson. The double comes. Matosis Adderley moving downhill. Euro step, left hand, too strong. Talley loses it to Hollingsworth. Here comes Augustin into the front court. Going to slow it down. It's all about clock management down the stretch. Patricio pulls it back out. You got to eat up as much time on the shot clock as you can for Capital Courts, but still get a good look. Bissett, baseline, has the mismatch, working through. Last touch by Crestwood. 3.9 on the shot clock.
I think right now, if I was them, I would either give it to Augustin down low, or they can switch it up and have Bissett accept the inbound rather than administering it.
Timeout on the floor. Few minutes remaining here in the OSBA Women's Championship game. Ontario Basketball Association and Rogers and Uptown Wireless are bringing you unbeatable deals on wireless plans. As a valued OBA member, you now have access to exclusive savings on Rogers services, helping you stay connected whether you're at home, on the road, or courtside. Don't miss out. Visit basketball.on.ca today to explore your exclusive offers and experience the power of connection with Rogers. Stay connected, stay in the game, powered by OBA and Rogers.
Well, right there's Mary Denise Tamway being carried back to her bench. In the meantime, CCA, they have to be well composed in the next 2:27. They already know what's on the line, the championship and the possibility of denying a three-peat from this tough Crestwood team.
2:27 left in regulation. 10-point lead. Capital Courts ahead. Inbound to Denis. She gets the shot off. That misses everything. It's a play on. Capital Courts looking for their first championship since 2022, the COVID year. Stella Evans working to the middle. McLeod tacks to the paint, kicks it back out to Riger. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Evans around the screen. Has to give it up. Matosis Adderley. Late shot clock stolen by Augustin. Augustin down the right-hand side. Under 2 remaining. Denis gives it back to Augustin.
CCA has fought to put themselves in a position where they don't need to go for the early basket. They can take their time, use the majority of the shot clock, like you were saying, JJ, and still they still need to score, obviously, because Crestwood is coming in hot, but they just need to make sure they can maintain their lead and execute on defense.
Bissett to trigger on the side out. Denis has it. Picked up by Matosis Adderley. Bissett now looks like Capital Courts is just going to play keep away until the very last second. Strong take and finish. Augustin on her back, getting her teammates going. And Fabian Blizzard has to corral her players, keep them on the bench as we get another look.
Augustin all in, and notice that Brooke McLeod would have no shot at contesting that shot. Her balance just threw her off, and that just led to the contact, the 2, and the proverbial dagger.
Last game, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, to now fast forwarding into this game for Augustin, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal. So again, if I were to point out where she's lacking, it's maybe ever so slightly in the assists column, but that's the only thing that I could say. Other than that, she's playing lockdown defense. Where she misses maybe a step on offense, she makes it back on defense and vice versa. She is stepping up as a leader for Capital Courts at the moment.
Wow, she is their leader. I mean, they've got a plethora of them, but when you think of Capital Courts, you think of Patricia Augustin and what she does on the court, how she's a vocal leader, the way she plays. So, you know, it's no surprise that she's showing up in these big minutes.
We're seeing Augustin and Bissett stepping up in the second half. They've done an incredible job, and keep in mind, they're without their point guard, Jada Denise, at most of the time. Even though we saw her a couple minutes in the fourth quarter, they realized they have a lot of bodies that can take over on the job, and they have done just that. So far, they're stunning Crestwood Prep.
Yeah, for Denise, 17 points last game. She's held at just 4 right now.
But she did a lot of the other things that don't show up on the score sheet, specifically on the defensive side of the ball before going down with that ankle injury, able to play out the rest of this game. So you got to, applaud that effort as Augustin makes a three-point play the old-fashioned way. And it feels like it's just a matter of time now before Capital Courts get their second OSBA championship. 1:30 left in the fourth. Crestwood stuck 13. Evans finds Matosis Adderley, and she gives it up to Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth going to slow down over the timeline. Augustin gets it. Hollingsworth gets it right back, and it's keep away for Capital Courts. Patricio going to accept the pass. Denis looking for the entry pass. 4 seconds on the shot clock. A logo 3. That misses everything. And Denis, I don't know what she was thinking going for that loose ball out of bounds on a bum ankle. And Crestwood going to call another timeout. Marlo Davis still thinks there's a chance. Maybe there is. Maybe there is. Crazier things have happened.
But lately they haven't been well on from three-point land, and every time they would get those entry passes, they would not respond. Think about Brooke McLeod for a second, JJ. She was camping out of the paint for most of the second half, but they haven't gone to her. And even if she gets the ball, that's far beyond her reach. So they have to find a quick option quick. It's not going to be Orije. You have to swing it around because now CCA knows that Orije is going to get the ball and get that hot streak going.
Well, when you look at options for a perimeter shooter, obviously, the Clouds hit a couple. Matosis Adderley passed up a couple, so if the ball goes to her, you can leave her out there on the perimeter. Orije gives any time and space she can hit it. Roger can knock him down, as well as Horford and Stella Evans. So kind of like pick your poison right now.
I think, honestly, where Crestwood kind of lost the majority of their points is their inability to stop the presence down low that CCA just kind of had coming into this game. And unfortunately, that's one thing where, yes, they have maybe 1-2 players at their disposal for Crestwood that can kind of fire it down low. Mainly a lot of it coming from Tale, but they needed an additional person that's more aggressive off the board.
Crestwood had a double-digit lead at one point in the game. Capital Courts worked that down to just 5 at the half and have now, in the second half, worked it into a 13-point advantage. And the Capital Courts squad from Ottawa are 59.5 seconds away from hoisting the OSBA Women's Trophy. It's Evans quickly. McLeod looking for the back cut. It's there. Marie J can't handle it.
We knew coming into this game, an undefeated season for both teams. Someone was going to close out their season on a loss, their first loss of the year. And right now it's looking like it is going to be Crestwood.
Their first loss in a long time for Crestwood.
Brooke McLeod commits the foul on Augustin. She'll go to the line for a look at 2. Late here down the stretch, 46.7 left on the clock. The 4th team foul for Crestwood. So it will be side out. I stand corrected. The Ridley College Tigers making their way into the gymnasium. They take on Houghton Prep in our finale, the OSBA Men's Championship. Denis will head to the line after the foul from Matosis Adderley. A lot of great hoopers on display here this weekend at the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center, from the semifinals to the D-League All-Stars early this morning, the Trillium Men's Final, here the Women's Final, and next, the Men's Final.
The future of Canada basketball is in good hands, and we've seen a galaxy of stars here over the weekend. And there's one of them at the line, Jada Denis, playing gutsy since tweaking her ankle.
She makes good on both of them. Orije quickly into the front court. Gonna pull it back. Tale, whip pass. Evans for 3, no. Matosis Adderley fighting for the rebound, gets it. Orije wants it. Orije takes it, and Orije rims it out.
Ripped it from her own teammate.
Augustin
there.
and Denis, the competitive nature. You know, you don't see who's around. You just have your hand on the ball and you rip it out.
Same team. But credit to Crestwood, a long undefeated winning streak coming to an end, and CCA is going to take the crown.
Hollingsworth with the 2 points there. Crestwood going to bring it over the timeline. Let's see what Orije does with it. Trying to put Denis on skates, gets to the rack with the left hand. Pretty finish. Capital Courts just need to get it over the timeline. Bissett whipping it all the way down, and Denis going to dribble it out. And that will be all, folks. Capital Courts remain undefeated. The emotion pouring out on the court. And for the first time in 3 years, or 2 years, 2022, Capital Courts win the OSBA Women's Championship, taking down the undefeated Crestwood squad and avenging their loss from last season against that very same team.
We knew from seeing them in September that they were one of the most well-polished teams coming into that preseason tournament, and now seeing them here in the finals as champions, next to none.
57 points on the board for Crestwood, not enough, as Capital Courts put up 72, a hefty majority of them coming in that second half. We're going to inch towards player of the game, closer and closer. For me, take your pick of any of the starting five realistically.
A lot of stars there tonight. I mean, in the second half, I saw a great defensive effort from Hollingsworth, but Patricia Augustin, she came into her own element in the third and fourth quarter. She's one of my top players for the MVP. Sid, who do you think should deserve the honors?
It's going to have to, okay, I'm going to have to go with either two. It's going to either go with Hollingsworth because she's just always been able to remain consistent, but if we're going off of consistency offensively, defensively, it's going to have to be Augustin. I mean, her commitment game in and game out from the semis till now has just been next to none, so she's going to have to be the MVP.
We will get to the MVP award shortly, but let's relive some of this OSBA women's final in the fourth quarter and how it all played out. There it is, Jada Denis throwing the ball up, celebration, and then immediately looking at the coach and the bench and saying, hey, we got to go celebrate with our leader, Fabian Blizzard and company. And your heart, you know, it hurts for the girls wearing white here this afternoon. You see the tears streaming down their face as well. They're going to remember this moment and what it feels like to lose this game, because there's no doubt in my mind that under Marlo Davis, Crestwood will be back again and again and again. Again, 4 championships in the past 5 years.
I think the hardest part, too, is it's not like they knew what it felt like to lose this year. I mean, I know obviously talking league-specific because a lot of them kind of do outside tournaments that Crestwood does, but this is their first actual loss, and I can imagine how hard it's hitting them right now.
It's time to hand out the medals, and with that, we'll send it down to the PA announcer. We'll be back when the MVP is announced.
Fans, once again, let's give a big round of applause for our finalists, Crestwood. And now to present today's championship medals, the CCA, please welcome local board member Mark Vajoku. And now it is time to recognize the 2025 OSBA Women's Champions. First up, number 0, Jana Dennis. Number 1, Georgia Ferguson. Number 2, Daniela Aho. Number 6, Evelyn Zucaro. Number 7, Devon Dell. Number 12, Patricia Augustine. Number 13, Megan Collinsworth. Number 21, Rachel O'Connell. Number 22, Alexandra Seth. Number 24, Sierra Patricio. And number 65, Sebastian Norris. And now let us welcome the coaching staff of the CCA. Give it up for Charlotte Hayes. Eric Palmer. Lexi Miles. Lauren Boyd. And head coach Brilliant Blizzard. Fans, one more time, the doors down the court. Let's give it up for the 2025 OSBA Women's Champions,
And you can just see the emotion and the excitement on the faces of those players, sharing hugs and handshakes and high fives and every sort of celebration you can imagine. The rings were a surprise to many in attendance. It's time to get to the finals MVP award. Patricia Augustine, 25 points, 8 boards and assists, multiple efforts on both sides of the court, and a deserving win at that for the MVP finals for Patricia Augustine.
What a strong player she was in the second half. She was at the end of the fast break. She was bowling herself her way to the basket, getting the and ones, and just delivering damage in the front court for CCA. Job well done.
Consistency is an understatement for her, and I would say that also falls onto the entire team all season long. And now they close it out undefeated as champions with rings, hats, and medals to prove it, and now soon to be the trophy.
Sweet is the taste when you win a championship after coming back from a double-digit deficit. That's exactly how the girls from Ottawa did it today. We're going to send it away. I'm JJ Evison for City Homes and Aaron Sanders. We'll be back at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock tip-off for the men's final between Ridley College and Houghton Prep. We hope you join us then.